Greetings and salutations, my friends. Welcome to a new episode of The Ramble. Right, so today we are going to talk about, my rant is going to be about dog hair. The delights that is dog hair. I know I'm wearing a see-through green hoodie. I know it's a mistake, but I kind of like being just like a mildly bit see-through. We're going to talk about the diet, how that went this week. Also, I'm going to talk about Liverpool summer signings. Just a couple of players that I think Liverpool should go after. I know this is early, but I kind of wanted to talk about it now, so that if we do go and sign them, I can point back to what a genius I was, or not. And also, I want to talk to you about Patreon, because it's been much discussed, let's say, on Twitter in recent days, so I'd just like to address a few points that people have made regarding Patreon. And we're also going to introduce you to my dog, Ollie, and the story of Ollie. He's got quite a fascinating backstory and interesting issues that we've had to deal with. So, let's start today's episode. So firstly, I want to talk to you about the diet this week. So as you know, so far, just to keep you updated, first week, we lost £5. Amazing. Second week, we lost £1, which is okay after a good first week. This week, yeah. So next point. So this week, I put on £1. It wasn't unexpected, let's say. We did go out for lunch, me and the missus, one day, and we also had takeaway the other day, Chinese takeaway. Okay, so I fully admit, I was expecting maybe a level or a pound gain. And I know some people are going to consider it cheating. Oh no, you've blown your diet, bloody blah. But this diet is about slow and steady progress. I don't want to just cut out foods. If I said to myself, I'm never going to have takeaway again because, they're fatty and bad for you and all that sort of thing, then what would happen is I'd do that for a few months and then I'd just buckle and just start monoshing on takeaways and just having lunches and doing all this sort of stuff. So I'm not going to ban those things. I've just got to take them into account that sometimes it's going to not be the best week. But what I did notice, even we went out to lunch and I didn't go for a massive lunch, but also with the Chinese takeaway, I cut down my order. So even though we had a Chinese takeaway, I cut down my order a little bit. So I was quite pleased with that. And I'm naturally just looking at, calories and fatty contents and stuff like that, just to make sure I'm cutting down a bit. And I kind of knew that having that Chinese would probably, make me gain a little bit this week, but I was okay with that because I don't want, if you know what I mean, I don't want to cut all that crap out and just sort of say, no, I'm just going to eat rabbit food for the rest of my life now. No, because I know I'll break those rules and then just put on the weight back. So I want to just edge this away. I don't care if over the next 3 months I average, say, £0.5 loss a week or £1 loss a week. That would be fine because I'm not changing my diet drastically to lose a massive amount of weight. I just want to do what's going to keep it off. But also, when I get to hitting my goal weight, I don't want to then just not be eating interesting foods and not enjoying I love food. Obviously, that's why I got to this state. But you know what I mean, though. I hope I've sort of got that across enough, really. So sort of, I had the Chinese last week, and this week I know that I've got to put, a bit more effort in. I'm paying for that Chinese now, so just cutting down a little bit more this week to have a better week, and just make sure that the overall trend is down. I don't mind if I had the odd blick. I'm not going to stop going out to lunch with my missus or, having your takeaway or treat or something like that. I just know that I've got to take responsibility for those times, and then the next few days or whatever, be a bit more careful to counteract it, that sort of thing. So, yeah. £1 gain, but overall, we've got a £5 loss in 3 weeks. I'm delighted with that. So the next thing I want to talk about is Liverpool Football Club. You can skip this bit if you're not a Liverpool fan, that's fine. I understand it. There's a couple of players that I'd like Liverpool to go after, like realistic players, not the ridiculous players that you just sort of go, oh yeah, we should sign Messi. Well, yeah, but we're not. So I think there's a couple of Premiership players that I really like the look of. The first one is quite an obvious one. Everybody's sort of seen how good this guy is this season, and that's Jordan Pickford. I think I haven't written off Loris Karius because I think he can become a very good goalkeeper. In the summer, I'm going to get rid of Mignolet and get in Jordan Pickford. I think a lot of teams are going to be after him. I think he's going to sort of go for a lot of money. I think he will go. There's no point in him staying at Sunderland for any sort of time. So I think that would be an amazing signing. He's only, 22, 23 years old. Still a very, very young goalkeeper. He just looks superb. He looks self-assured. I think he can be proper good, maybe even world-class goalkeeper in 3 or 4 years. And the other one is a little bit of a punt, but I really like how he plays, and that is Adama Traore from Middlesbrough. Again, he's at a smaller club. He wouldn't be the most expensive signing in the world. I think he's ex-Barcelona youth player, and he's got ridiculous pace. I think he's definitely not the finished article, but I think he could be a very good player in the next couple of years. It'll be interesting to see how he develops if he doesn't come to Liverpool. So they're just a couple of my signings. If you're a Liverpool fan, or any team really, put right now, I'll try and do this for everybody. So right now, in the comments below, say your club's name and then pick 2 realistic-ish transfers that you'd like your club to make. Maybe even put what you think you could get them for. Because then we can have a look back at this after the summer transfer, and we can have a laugh at all the comments and how shit and wrong we were. I think it'd be quite interesting. So the next thing I want to talk about is Patreon. Now, most of you know what Patreon is. I've had one for a few months now. And basically, Patreon is a system designed for viewers of YouTube channels to be able to help support financially YouTubers. It also works for other things. There's people that do games or write books or everything like that. But for my example, it's to support YouTubers. So what you can do is, if you need to sort of see more information and check it out so you understand it better, there's a link in my description to my Patreon. And it allows you to support monthly your favourite creators, right? And 99% of people totally understand this. You know, I've got an amazing bunch of followers on my channel. I think I've got 84 people. Also, Tom Lyons, thank you very much for becoming a Patreon. You see what I did there? See? Because, you know, he's just donated. So thank you very much, matey. And like I said, 99% of people realise what Patreon's for. It's like, I really enjoy your content. And forgetting, this is just not me. I'm not trying to big up you signing up to a Patreon, right? This was just a general discussion that happened on Twitter between a bunch of creators. And if I enjoy somebody's stuff and I've watched many hours of their content, I can just go, here you go, mate. It's £5 a month. Thank you very much for your... It's literally a donation like that. And it's a monthly thing, but you can stop at any time. So if you decided that you wanted to give your favourite YouTuber £10, you can go onto his Patreon, do a monthly £10, and then after the first month is paid, you can just cancel it. It's a cancel any time thing, and then you get that, right? So that's all well and good. You can set up your Patreon multiple ways. You can do it so for example, if you donate £1, you get a shout out. If you donate £5, you get your name in the credits. If you donate £10, you get your videos a week earlier. If you donate £20, I'll name a regen after you, that sort of thing. And there's levels of support. Now, when I started mine, I decided that I didn't want to hold anything back that you couldn't get if you weren't a donator on Patreon. So I didn't want to rename regens, and I didn't want to give content early or exclusive content to people that paid, because I want everybody, regardless of if you can pay money or you don't want to pay money or whatever it is, everybody should get all the content. I didn't want anybody to feel left out. So that was kind of my thinking when I started Patreon. But there's been some discussion on Twitter recently that people were saying, look, there was a guy sort of talking about Patreon and how it's not deserved, and a lot of these YouTubers create shit content, and yet they're getting people to pay monthly for this content. It's like, and he just didn't seem to get that you're not paying for the content. You don't get anything for becoming a Patreon. Look at my Patreon. What do you get? I say thank you. Of course I'm going to say thank you. If you donate on Patreon, I'm going to say thank you. And if you donate $5, you get your name in the credits with a little sort of silly film roll title, right? That's literally all you get. It's nothing. It's just a bit of fun. You're not paying for content. You don't get any extras. That is literally all you get. No matter how much you donate, up to £1 million a month, that's all you're going to get donation, right? So, but this guy was like saying, you know, these guys don't even create good enough stuff to be worth people paying. And a few people then made the comment, well, they're not paying for the content. It's almost like a donation. And he was like, yeah, but you're paying for a shout-out. Like, really? You're paying for a shout-out? Like, I said, but 99% of the people that are my patrons aren't, like, YouTube creators. So me shouting out David Smith, it's nothing to anybody else. It's not like I'm giving him a free ad for his YouTube channel. It's literally just a bloke I'm saying thank you to, which I would anyway. It's not a shout-out. Somebody donated me money, I say thank you. Just like Twitch streamers. They don't have most of them don't have a Patreon, they'll have just the tip box, and you can just tip them on stream. It'll either pop up in a message on their screen and they'll say a big thank you, or it'll play the text to audio thing and it'll say their message and all that sort of stuff. That's the same thing, and that's just a note. Nobody thinks they're paying for the content. They're not. They're donating. It's the exact same on YouTube. I don't know why people can't get their head around, because I'm not insulting anyone that doesn't want to pay. I'm just saying, if you have a spare £5 and you think I'm worth it, donate. If not, totally fine. Totally fine. I'm not gonna talk to somebody in the comments because they donated to me. I try to reply to every comment, regardless if it, like, as many comments as I can, regardless of if they donate $1, no donation at all, donate $100, or it doesn't matter to me. It's your choice. And this goes for any of you that donate on any of the Patreons. It's totally up to you. Nobody's going to think any less of you. Like, the fact that people think you're paying for this content. If I didn't start Patreon, I would be making the same videos. I'd still have a Journeyman series. So his whole argument there falls down. I'm not going to name names because I can't be asked all the drama shit. I'm just sort of discussing. But if I didn't start Patreon, it wouldn't mean that the Journeyman doesn't exist. It would still be just as it is. So therefore, if you're having to get people to what he sees as pay for the content, then surely if nobody's paying, the content won't be there. But the content's there, so that makes no sense whatsoever. As I've spoken about before, my goal is to become full-time YouTuber. And to do that, I need to work my arse off, which I do. I spend maybe 30, 40 hours a week now, ridiculous as it seems, on YouTube, making ad revenue. And if I can get you guys that are to help support me, the people that can and can afford £5 a month or whatever to support me, then that just helps me get there quicker. I don't see any problem with it whatsoever. I don't look down upon anyone for starting a Patreon. It just makes no sense to me. Like, I think my subscribers are quite intelligent, and nobody, I don't think, even on the Patreon video, I don't think I've had a single negative comment saying, oh, you're just a money grabber, or you're a sellout, because I don't know what even that means nowadays. And I just think people need to chill out, because if you don't like Patreon, just don't donate. Just watch that guy's stuff, whoever it is, for free anyway. Like that. It's literally just for people that have it's the same thing as sort of doing merchandise. You know, people were coming to me and asking me, my Loki Doki mugs, people were coming to me and saying, actually worried for me, because I'm quite open with money, and I'll say, look, I'm earning, on these mugs, I think I was earning a couple of quid profit on each one, and people have private messaged me and said, you should probably charge more, you can make more money, because people are invested in me, which is amazing, and want me to do well, want me to make money, because, you know, I'm putting this work in and I'm entertaining people, and people have asked me, oh, you could probably sell that for a tenner, mate, don't sell it for $8.99 and stuff like that. But, like, my feelings on stuff like these sort of mugs and stuff was that actually it was more about just something fun. It wasn't there really to make money, because I've kept, I think, 5 mugs that I can do giveaways in a few weeks, so that kind of wipes out most of the profit from the other sales of the mugs. It wasn't really a money-making thing. It was just a cool thing to do. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on Patreon. Sorry, it's got a bit ranty there. I just think it's ridiculous that people look down upon their noses. I felt weird making a Patreon video because it is, at the end of the day, asking for money. And I tried to make it as clear as humanly possible that you wouldn't get any benefits from donating. You wouldn't get preferential treatment, you wouldn't get exclusive content, you wouldn't get early things. It literally was, if you've got a spare £5 and you fancy helping me out and you enjoy my content enough It's the same as Netflix. Nobody complains about Netflix costing money because they know that people have spent hard work and time making programs, and you like their content, so you pay money to Netflix. It's a simple thing as that. But this is on a if you fancy it, rather than you have to pay the money. That would then be weird then, because then that is paying for content. Right, I'm getting het up now. Right, let's leave that there, shall we? But I hope you guys understand. Leave me, please feel free to discuss this in the comments. Even if it's like negative about Patreon, I don't mind. I'm happy to have open and honest discussion. If you think Patreon's a negative thing and you think it's just money grabbing, you're fully allowed to. I won't be upset about it. Everybody's entitled to their opinions and everything like that. I just wanted to give people a better understanding on how I see Patreon. Right, next up, bit more interesting. Let's introduce you to my dog. If I have to go and find him now. Right, hello. This is Ollie. Hello. He is a Spaniel Lurcher Cross rescue dog. We got him. I'm useless with times. We got him in when he was about a year old, and we've had him for about a year and two and a half years. I don't know times. Oh, go on then, get down. I'll put some photos up on the top bit there. He's not much of a lap dog. So I'll tell you about the story of Ollie. So we got him from the local rescue shelter. We didn't know much about his history, and so we got him. We went and saw him, and they allow you to take the dog for a walk, just so you can get to know the dog a little bit before you buy, basically, before you rescue the dog. And we took him for a walk, and I wasn't there at the time. We decided I'd seen him online, and my missus Curly, she was going to go to the pound after work and take him for a walk, see how he got on with her. And I left it to her because I trust her. She's really good. She's a natural with dogs, and I knew that if she decided that this was the right dog for us, it would work. I wasn't worried about Freya and Loki because I knew that they would get on with pretty much any dog. So she brought him home, and one thing we noticed straight away, that he was deathly afraid of me. He was scared shitless of me, and we worked out really quickly that he was basically afraid of every man, right? Men petrified. He's a bit of a wuss anyway, but petrified about blokes. And I quickly worked out that basically what happened is we were pretty sure that he was one of those dogs that was kept outside. Lived most of his life outside. He was very dirty and skinny and stuff. He's a skinny dog anyway because he's part lurcher, but I'll put some photos up of when we first got him and how mucky he was and everything like that. But he would, if you go to it, if I went to sort of put my hand out to stroke him or just offer my hand, he'd cower down, he'd roll on his back, show his belly, that sort of submissive nature. And we realised quite quickly that obviously in his former life that he'd been hit quite badly by a man. And this is what quite often happens with dogs, is that they will, if they're badly treated, they'll often choose the sex that it was treated. So a bloke mistreated him, therefore he's nervous of all blokes. That's kind of the standard route of dogs. And he was like scary afraid, like, and just generally nervous about everything. If you were trying to ask him, just to sit for a treat or something, if he didn't understand your command, he would get very afraid, because that's when he would get punished, you see, as you'd expect these idiots that do these sort of things, is that he would sit down, then curl up, and then roll on his back and show his belly any time he wasn't sure what to do, which was like most of the time. Because that's when he would get told off because he wasn't doing the right thing. That's when he'd get a smack. And so it did take a couple of months of just reassurance, show him that this world is different now. You don't get hit. You don't get punished for this sort of thing. Everything's okay. And he's got a lot better. He still does, if you tell him something 5 or 6 times, like you're trying to get him to lay down or whatever, or sit, or jump up, or whatever it is, if he's not sure, like, so teaching him new tricks is quite hard. If I was to sort of teach him fetch or something like that, normally, it might take a few times of calling. You don't even have to say it in an angry way. You can just literally go, Ollie, come here. And if he doesn't get it, he's like, oh God. So and I think that'll be part of his life always. That's just inbuilt in him now, to be a little bit afraid if he's not sure that he's getting the thing right that he's supposed to be doing. But he's absolutely fantastic dog. Also, another thing is playing. He'd never played before. Just not played. I could get a chew toy and he'd fetch, I could throw a toy and he'd grab it and stuff like that, and that was all fine. But having a bundle with me or playing tug of war, he just wouldn't risk it at all, because obviously that's when he might get told off. He probably thinks that is a threatening gesture on his part, that he's playing tug of war with me. Or just wrestling on the floor. I like to wrestle, and that would scare the living shit out of him at the start. And I took it really, really slowly. It took about 3 months of sort of training to be able to get to play with him. And now we can sort of play tug of war, and we can have a bundle on the floor, and he'll try and bite me and stuff. And it's brilliant, because it's such a difference to when we got him. And I think that's one of my favourite things about being good with dogs and having trained dog behaviourist and all that sort of stuff, is that I seeing that change of that dog that was scared shitless of everything when it came in, to being a dog that's much more confident, that can play, that can stand on his own 2 feet, or 4 feet in this case, and even stand up to the other dogs, and just sort of do his bit. And it's been fascinating to see. It's really interesting with the cats. This is a weird one. We've got, obviously, Midge and Molly are 2 cats, and if Midge comes into the room or walks past, or he sees Midge, he will freeze. And he'll just stare at Midge. And if Midge is walking around the corner, he'll move, so we can still see him, but he'll move, excuse me, really slow. But he will literally, if Midge was sitting on this table now, and Ollie's down there, he will watch him for the entire time. Hours, he'll sit there and just stare at him. And I think what it is, my best guess, because there's been a couple of times, just a couple, where if Midge has jumped down and has been running, Ollie will sort of do a little chase, and we tell him off. Obviously, we can't have that happening. And I think what it is that Ollie, because he was left outside, if you can imagine a sort of, standard garden with fences or walls or whatever, he's left outside with a couple of other dogs, and probably one of their few forms of sort of any entertainment is chasing the neighbourhood cats. You imagine a cat jumping up on the wall and running across, chasing him around the garden, that sort of thing, chasing him out of the garden, standard dog things. And I think that's what he's expecting Midge to do. So when he's staring at him, I think he's expecting Midge to run off, because that's what cats have always done in his garden. And so it's weird to see that Midge is like, no, I'm just sitting here, mate. And he's like, oh, what fucking happens now? You're supposed to run off. I'm supposed to chase you. And so I think he's kind of waiting for it. But we thought that might go away after a few months, but it's not changed a bit. He still just stares at Midge and Molly. Endlessly stare for hours if he comes in. So, but that is the sort of story of Ollie. It's really nice to see the relationship Ollie has with Freya, our little black spaniel, because they become like brother and sister. They are glued together all the time. Ollie needs, I think, because Freya's quite a confident dog, Ollie needs that reassurance. He's still not the most confident. He's a lot better, but I think what he'll do is he lets her lead, so she's the boss, and he's confident with that. Without going into way too much depth, because I'm probably boring a lot of people at this point, but with pack mentality, which dogs have, is that they will it's not like if you had 10 dogs and you put them in a pack, it's not like they would all fight it out. The toughest one, the biggest one, goes as alpha male, and then the second toughest goes second, and then third and fourth, until you get the weakest one at the bottom. Dogs, when they're born, will naturally, within the first few weeks of being around all those puppies, they will have already built up a pack system, and those puppies, some puppies are just naturally, they didn't ever expect or want to be the alpha male. They will expect to be a beta, or they will expect to be what's called a tester or a bouncer. And so Ollie was just never meant to sort of be a big leader. So he is, and they are much happier. If you forced one of these like lower down dogs to be the alpha male, they would shit themselves. They would hate it. So I think Ollie really appreciates having Freya around, who's much more of a leadership dog, so that he can just, she's the boss. She's my leader. She's my team leader. I'll just go with her. I know she knows what she's doing. I'm happy to lead. And Ollie is just that sort of dog that he's happy to lead and stuff like that. Sort of Loki, I don't know if I should just carry on waffling about this, but I find it fascinating. So you can. This is the last segment of the video, I think. So if you want to skip if you just want to skip, that's fine. But if you've got dogs, you should aim to you're the alpha male, right? You're the alpha male, alpha female, doesn't matter. But you're the alpha. That's what you've got to be. The people with troubled dogs are because the dog thinks they're the boss. Okay, so you have to be the boss. A lot of the time it will happen naturally because you're the one providing food, which is a massive part. You're the boss. Here, I present you food. Therefore, you are my underlings. That is one of the sort of single biggest part. But also stuff like, if the dog gets something it shouldn't, being able to take that off the dog. That's just a very much alpha male sort of alpha sort of system. And so our pack is quite interesting because we've got me as the alpha, we've got Curly as the beta, which are the top two dogs. And then there's various roles in the pack. They're not all just the rest. So you'll have things like bouncers and testers. So bouncer is basically the dog that is probably the strongest. The alpha male, ironically, isn't always the strongest. It's normally a tough dog, but the bouncer is like a bouncer in a nightclub. They're tough old dogs, and usually if they were to come across other packs and stuff like this, the bouncer would be the first to go. He's the brave one, or nutcase in this case, and he's the sort of brave one to go. And I would say that in that sort of role, and it doesn't really matter size or gender or anything like that, I think probably Freya is the bouncer. Even though she's the smallest and female, she's probably the bouncer because Loki is a bluffer. Loki thinks he's hard, he barks at stuff and everything, but anytime something weird happens, like a big loud noise or a noise he hasn't heard, he gets scared. So he's the worst bouncer. And then you've got a tester, and a tester dog doesn't necessarily have to be tough or intelligent. It just has to be brave and intelligent enough. And the tester will basically be the one that, if they're not sure about something, that if the pack is there and they've seen something, they're not sure about it, the tester will be the one to check it out. They'll also be the one to sniff something that looks different or smells weird. They're the one that, they send. It's like the red jacket in Star Trek. Send them out first. If they die, they're the first one to die. And you can study this. It's really fascinating if you want to learn more. It's about they study it through wolf packs. And you can see all this happening, and it's fascinating. And it still happens in domestic dogs to a lesser degree, but you can see all the traits. I think if you've got multiple dogs, you'll probably, now I've sort of explained some of that to you, you'll probably be able to work out, okay, who's the bouncer in your group, who's the tester in your group, that sort of thing. Right, I've waffled on far too long. As you probably guessed, I'm quite interested in about dogs. I'm actually tempted to, I think at some stage in my future I'm going to start a YouTube channel around dogs, just because I love talking about it. I think I'm going to do that at some stage. Right, there we go. I've talked far too long. It's like 30 odd minutes, this video. I do apologise. You know me by now. I've rambled. That's why it's called the Ramble. Right, thank you very much, guys. Please, like this video if you enjoyed it, share it with your friends. Subscribe if you're new. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below regarding Patreon, who your team should sign this summer, and your dogs, and all sorts of stuff like that. You can follow me on Twitter at Loki Doki GG. Send me your pet pictures, because I always like getting pet pictures. So, thank you very much, guys. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.